ex-wife cheated and left me for a rich boss and got pregnant. But when I inherited millions, she wants me to pretend I'm the father and is begging me for another chance. So here's the deal. My ex-wife 32F and I 35M got divorced about 6 months ago, and within a month of that she was pregnant. My ex-wife, let's call her Olivia, and I had been together for 3 years and married for a year and a half when she told me that she had been having an affair with her boss, let's call him Samuel 42M, for a couple of months. We have a 1-year-old son together, and when she told me about the affair, I was still trying to process it, but she already had the divorce papers and stuff ready because her boss had told her that he was ready to marry her. So far the only reason she had been holding out was because she was not sure if Samuel was ready to commit to her or not, but as soon as she had some sort of commitment from him, she decided to dump me and the kid and take off with him. The divorce was relatively straightforward because I wanted full custody of our son and I got it. She didn't even bother to fight for it, neither did she fight for anything else. I got everything that we had, and it made sense because now that she had Samuel, she was rich enough to have the sea of lifestyle that she wanted. After the divorce was over, I did not hear from her until recently, although I had heard from a couple of common friends that she had announced her pregnancy just a couple of weeks after our divorce was finalized. I don't know exactly how many months along she is, and neither does that make any difference to me, since she's out of my life for good. The divorce had been tough for me emotionally because, unlike her, I was actually in love with her, and I thought that we had something real in the 3 years that we had been together. I had always noticed that she had a bit of a materialistic streak, but I had honestly never thought that it would come in the way of our relationship at any point. I've been doing pretty well for myself since I am an oncologist, but I can't deny that Samuel is a lot richer than me, since he wants the company that my wife used to work in. Even though they had grown pretty close since she started working there, I had never felt threatened by him because I always thought that they were very good friends. And I was always quite secure about our relationship because I believed that Olivia loved me as much as I loved her. Clearly I was mistaken, because if that had been the case, she wouldn't have found it so easy to dump me and leave. And I can still understand finding it easy to leave me, but how somebody can give birth to a kid and then just abandon them makes no sense to me. She didn't bother to check up on how our son was doing even once after this divorce, and that made it much easier for me to hate her, because that's what she deserves. When she left me, she tried to tell me that the reason she was leaving was because I never had any time for her, unlike Samuel, who was always there for her. It's not that easy to fool me though. I know that the real reason she was leaving was because he was much richer than me. But when I brought it up with her, she started cursing at me and acted like I was a terrible person for even implying that, even if it was the truth. But anyway, the reason she reached out to me recently was also something to do with money, and that just proved me right, because recently I have been named as the sole heir to my uncle's fortune. For context, my uncle was a businessman who built a fortune for himself in real estate and owns one of the largest real estate companies in the state. He never married and never had any kids of his own, but we were pretty close. He adored me, and I knew that, but I still hadn't expected him to name me as the sole heir to everything that he owned. Everything is still being evaluated, but I know for a fact that I'm looking at an estate worth more than $2 million, and I haven't even started to think about how much his assets are worth. He left company to me as well, but I'm honestly not interested in running it. Luckily, he had also left instructions to me in case I did not want to run the company, and so according to him, I have appointed his CFO as the current CEO, so the company keeps running smoothly. But I'm still going to be benefiting from whatever he makes from the company, so I can easily just retire right now. However, I'm still going to continue working because I love the work that I do, and with all the money that I have right now, I can even give back to society in much bigger ways. But that's enough about my own noble plans. Let's talk about Olivia's not so noble ones. Last week I told a couple of my friends about my inheritance over dinner and drinks, and all of them were pretty surprised, but most of them seemed happy for me. But I guess one of them was not happy because somebody snitched and told Olivia about it, so that's how she found out. In the next day she showed up at my house and said that she needed to talk to me. She was heavily pregnant, and I was about to tell her to go away, but I had a gut feeling that I would want to hear her out, so I decided to let her in because she was back after almost 6 months of the divorce, and I guessed that it had to be something important that brought her here. However, at the time when I had invited her in, I had no idea that she knew about my inheritance anyway. She tried to make some small talk with me, but I was really not interested, so I just restricted myself to one-word replies. Then she congratulated me on the inheritance, which was her first mistake. I was a bit surprised that she had been able to find out about it, but I figured that maybe one of my friends had ratted me out, so I didn't say anything and just thanked her. She then asked about our son and how he was doing, and that really upset me because for the past 6 months, she had pretended that she didn't even have a kid, and now all of a sudden, she had a conscience and wanted to know how her kid was doing. I ended up snapping, and I'm pretty thankful that my son was not at home at the time. He was with my parents, because otherwise he would have heard the way that I spoke to his mother. I don't regret it though, since she totally deserves it. Anyway, when she asked about our son, I just told her to get to the point and stop beating around the bush, because I knew that she was here with some purpose, and not just to make small talk and ask about things that she didn't even care about. I was getting really impatient, and she could see that, so she decided to get to the point and told me that she was here to discuss the new addition to our family. Obviously I was very confused because I had assumed that she was pregnant with her boss's baby and not mine. She had been pretty sure about it back when we were separating, and I was so emotionally distraught about so many things that I didn't even question it. In any case, even if the baby was mine, I knew that one paternity test after the baby was born would let me know, and I would deal with that when it happened, but for as long as she was pregnant. It was better that Samuel dealt with her because I didn't want anything to do with her unless the baby was mine. It sounds mean, but that's how it was, and I didn't think she would care about it either, because she was pretty confident that the baby was Samuel's. Anyway, I was quite shocked when she referred to the baby as the new addition to our family because I didn't know if that was a fact or not. So I first decided to ask her if she was sure about the paternity, and if the baby was not mine, I had no interest in speaking to her anymore. But instead of taking the hint, she told me that she hadn't conducted a paternity test yet, but would do so if that's what I wanted. However, regardless of who the biological father of the baby was, she believed that since she was still married to me when the baby was conceived, I had an equal right to the child as well. And we hadn't discussed this earlier, but it was about time that we did, since she was just a couple of weeks away from giving birth. Then she dropped a bombshell on me and told me that she wanted my name on the baby's birth certificate as the father, because she believed that it would be better for both her kids to have the same last name. I definitely had not seen that coming, and it took me a couple of minutes to even process what she was saying. But once I had done that, I immediately declined. I didn't really want to, but I ended up laughing in her face because her plan was so stupid. It was quite easy for me to connect the dots. And she had already made the mistake of letting me know that she knew about the inheritance, so now she was obviously trying to secure the baby's future and in some way, even her own, by making sure that I took responsibility for the baby and perhaps even paid child support. Now that I was suddenly richer than even Samuel, she was singing a different tune around me, and I found that very funny, so I ended up laughing in her face at her plan. I straight up told her that she was really stupid for even thinking that I would entertain an idea like this, and I told her to get out of my house because I didn't want to speak to her anymore. But she didn't leave. She continued to sit there and try to reason with me. She told me that she was ready to get a paternity test, but she believed that it would be better for her children to have at least some sort of a relationship, and having the same last name would help them bond better with each other. She tried to make it seem like she really cared about the kids and their relationship, so she was actually asking me to allow her to add my name to the birth certificate of her baby, so that our son would have a sibling and would find it easy to relate to the baby once they were born. It was pathetic because she herself hadn't been there for our son for the past 6 months after our divorce, and hadn't even bothered to check up on him, even though she had visitation rights. So I told her that our son barely even had a mother anymore, and now she was acting like it was important for her to make sure that our son was able to bond with his sibling. And even if I were to agree that our son should have a relationship with his sibling or half-sibling, depending on who the father is, it still doesn't make sense to add me to the birth certificate as the father of the baby, if I'm not actually the biological father. So I made it very clear to her that if the paternity test proves that the father is, then I might even entertain her idea, but if it doesn't, then I'm simply not interested. Once I made that clear to her, she tried to argue with me some more, and was desperately trying to make it seem like she really cared about the relationship that her future baby would have with ours. So regardless of who the parent was, and that's why she wanted my name on the birth certificate, but I knew that the real reason was my inheritance and nothing else, and I told her that I knew what she was actually after, so she shouldn't take me for a fool. And obviously she was not happy about the implication that she was a gold digger, so she started screaming at me again, but I just told her to leave because otherwise I would call the cops, and she finally left. I could tell that she was regretting leaving me, but this was just karma for screwing me over, and after she left I was still pretty upset about what she had just tried to pull off, because I couldn't believe that she thought I was actually that stupid, and I was going to just let her name me as the father of the baby. Of course, if I'm actually the father of the baby, then I would have had no issues, but her suggestion that all our kids should have the same last name and that's why she wants to admit the birth certificate of the baby, regardless of whether I'm actually the father or not, just did not sit well with me. Had she come to me to ask for a paternity test so we could find out the actual parentage and then worked our way forward, then I might have respected it, but this was clearly just a plan for her to claim her stake in my inheritance, and because she couldn't come up with a valid plan, she was grasping at straws. I was pretty upset, and I couldn't let this go without retaliating because so far I hadn't done anything at all to get back at her. But after she had come to visit me, and we had had that discussion, I was so angry that I decided to reach out to Samuel, and I sent him an email about what just happened. At that point, I did not even care if he already knew about her plan or not. I just wanted to create trouble in some way or the other, and that was the only idea that I could come up with. I wasn't sure if it would actually work or not, but I got lucky, and as it turns out, Samuel had no idea that this was what she was up to behind his back. I didn't get to know any of this through them, obviously. He did not reply to my email, but after I sent it to him, he apparently got into a really big fight with Olivia. And I don't even blame him. I think anybody in his position would have done the same thing, but instead of cutting her losses and dealing with the situation at hand, she is simply too busy blaming me and has been posting about it non-stop. Not just posted, but she has also been speaking to all of our common friends and trying to get them to talk to me and set the record straight with Samuel. I don't even know what that means because as far as I'm concerned, I already set the record straight with him by telling him the truth. Obviously, none of our friends are on her side. They think that what I did was perfectly justified. This is strange because I'm pretty sure that one of them had to be the person who ratted me out and told her about the inheritance. I just didn't find out who it was so I could cut ties with them anyway. Until then I have Olivia to deal with because she's really getting on my last nerve. She has been posting relentlessly about how I'm jealous of her lifestyle and I'm upset about the fact that she left me, which is why I've been actively trying to ruin her relationship with Samuel and feeding him a bunch of lies about why she visited me last week. She claims that she only visited me to see her son since I haven't allowed her to see him, and even that day she was fighting with me because she wanted to see him and I refused to bring him back from his grandparents' place. That's what she wants me to admit, but I'm not going to do that since that's clearly a lie. I have done everything in my power to avoid speaking to her or interacting with her, but she just won't stop talking about me. And it's getting a bit too much because for the past week she has posted about me every single day, and it's just annoying that she thinks that she can get away with lying about what really happened. Most of our friends know the truth, but a lot of people are even supporting her in the comment sect, mostly people who don't know me. And I know that she's doing all of this for sympathy so that Samuel can fix things with her and buy a bunch of lies that she has been spewing. However, if it's coming at the cost of my reputation, even if it's among people who don't even know me, I don't think that it's fair, so I have been considering putting out the truth for everyone to see. And the reason that I have held back is because I know that it's going to damage her reputation significantly, and Samuel is definitely going to dump her. They're not even married yet, so it's going to be very easy for him to just leave since they're only engaged. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So whipped if I posted about how my ex-wife wanted to name me as the father of her baby in the birth certificate update one, so I did it. I actually posted the truth before even opening the comment section here because my gut feeling said that I should just go for it, and that's what I did. Afterwards I came to Reddit to validate my decision, and I'm very grateful that most people believe that posting my side of the story would be the right thing to do. I had blocked her after the divorce, but I unblocked her just so she would be able to see this post. Most of our friends are supporting me, and even though I know that I'm doing that, I think I'm with or without the support. I think it means a lot to me that they are standing by me because I'm pretty sure it's really pissing her off. She hasn't been able to get the kind of sympathy that she wanted, and from what I know she hasn't had to move back in with her parents because Samuel doesn't want her living with him anymore. It has been a week and 4 days since I sent Samuel that email, and even though he hasn't replied to me, a lot of things have happened since then, and I know that there is trouble in paradise. I'm pretty glad that this is happening to them, because she left me and our son for someone else just because he was richer than me and Samuel. Well, he was just a homewrecker. I'm glad that karma is finally catching up to them, and I really hope that this teaches them a lesson of a lifetime. Even if it doesn't really matter because I'm still going to be rich and I'll be happy with or without them. My son and I are even planning on taking a vacation in a couple of weeks because I think I need a break. I've been working myself to the bone ever since the divorce, and now that I'm finally getting the closure that I thought I needed, I think a well-deserved break will do me a lot of good, and when I come back, I'll be ready to work even harder. The only piece of the puzzle that I haven't been able to figure out yet is who exactly he had ratted me out to Olivia, because so far, I have asked several of my friends if they had said anything about my inheritance to Olivia, and all of them have denied having anything to do with it. The people who I had told about the inheritance are really close to me, so I really hate the idea that one of them had been lying to me, but well, that's how it is. Anyway, I'm going to start planning my vacation with my son now. Update 2. Olivia showed up at my door again today. In this time, my son was at home as well, so I told her to go away instantly because I was pretty sure that he was not here to see him, and she was here to probably pick a fight with me. And I didn't want my son to see me acting like that, since Olivia just brings out the worst in me. But she refused to leave, and she told me that she was here to see her son, and since she had visitation rights, I couldn't exactly stop her, and that was true, so I had to let her in and allow her to see our son. I was not happy about that at all, but if I had refused, there might have been legal repercussions for it, and I have already spoken to my lawyer to prevent this from happening in the future. Just to be clear, it's not that I don't want her to see our son at all. I would obviously love for our son to be able to have a normal relationship with both his parents. But I don't want her coming and going out of his life whenever she wants to. The first time that she left home to move in with Samuel, she didn't even bother to say goodbye to our son, and it was very obvious that in the following weeks he had found it very difficult to cope with her absence. I did not want that repeating once again, so I've spoken to my lawyer, and we are going to file for supervised custody visits so I can monitor when she gets to see him and she can't waltz in and out whenever she wants to, because that's not good for our son. Anyway, our son was a little confused to see her at first, but afterward he seemed happy enough. She ignored me for the entire time that she was here, but I noticed that she started to take a bunch of videos towards the end of her visit. The only thing that I said to her before she left was that I did not want her to post any of those videos online, because I did not want our son to have an online presence when he was so young. To that, she only told me that she was saving these videos for herself in case she missed him too much, which I think is a bunch of BS, but I didn't argue with her because it would be pointless. Anyway, that was what happened and I think it was pretty weird, but it's not like she did anything wrong so I can't complain. Update 3. So I had asked my lawyer to file for Olivia to have only supervised visiting rights after she visited us out of the blue to see our son a couple of days ago, but after what happened last evening, I don't think that's going to be necessary anymore. After her last visit she hadn't posted anything against me, and in fact she had been pretty inactive on social media for quite a while. She had made a few posts against me after I had put out my side of the story, but that was just for a few days, and then she just went silent. And then she paid me a visit to see our son, which was also quite strange. However, what happened yesterday is what takes the cake. because she just showed up once again randomly with a lawyer and handed me signed paperwork which said that she was giving up custody of our son. She and her lawyer informed me that they would file the petition and get this approved by family court soon enough. She just wanted to give me a heads up before all of that happened so I wouldn't be taken by surprise. I really couldn't stop myself from asking why she was doing this because just a couple of days ago she had visited us to meet our son, but she didn't exactly give me a straightforward answer. All she said was that she had decided that it was in the best interest of our son to only have one parent, and that would be me because she was going to be too busy taking care of her kid. And interacting with him the other day had made her realize that he was better off without his mother, since neither did he seem to attach to her, nor did she feel anything when she was around him. So she wanted me to take over entirely and told me that she wouldn't be bothering us anymore with her presence. I was really confused about what was going on, and I kind of felt bad for my son because his mother had said that she did not feel attached to him, and even though he doesn't even know what that means yet, I know that it would hurt him if he understood. But I did not try to stop her, since no matter what I wanted, she had made up her mind, and if she did not want to be a mother, then I was not going to force her to. And she definitely was right about one thing. It would be better for him to just have one parent around him, and that would be me, because I was actually willing to be a father to him. Before she left, I asked her if she knew anything about the paternity of her kid, and she told me that she had decided she would only get a paternity test conducted after the baby was born, and until then I had nothing to worry about. She also told me that if the baby turned out to be mine, we would work out an arrangement that worked for both of us, but until then she did not want me to speak to her, and well, I respect that it might seem insensitive, but I already have a lot of mind play to be worrying about a kid who was probably not even mine. Update 4. I finally heard back from Samuel after almost 4 weeks since I sent him that email, and I learned a lot of things that I did not know about Olivia in this situation. He started off by apologizing to me for everything, but I'm not going to get into that. After the apology, he told me that they actually had conducted a paternity test a couple of weeks back, and they knew for sure that the baby was not mine. The baby is his, and even when she had approached me she had known about it. That's why he had been so upset and broken things off with her, because it was very obvious that she did not truly belong to anyone in the actual sense of the word. She tried to tell him that she had only visited me to talk to me about seeing our son more often, because she claimed that I wasn't allowing her to see him. However, he did not buy that, and he decided to believe my version of what happened, since in the past 6 months he had kept pushing her to come see our son, but she was the one who always kept procrastinating, and it seemed very unlikely that she had changed her mind all of a sudden, so he broke off their engagement and asked her to move out. Then she left. Even after she had left, she sent him a couple of videos with our son to prove that she had actually visited our son a couple of times, and she hadn't been lying about what she had said to him. But he's not an idiot, and he could see right through her. At least now I know why she had taken all those videos. It was just so she could use it to prove herself right. And I can't imagine something more disgusting. She was literally using our son to get back together with Samuel, and when she realized that it was not going to work, she decided to give up custody of him anyway. He told me that they are still going to raise their child together, and she's claiming an exorbitant amount of child support right now, which is expected since she quit her job after she got engaged to him. But that's their problem now, and I'm done with her. Soon enough I will have full sole custody of our son, and even the procedure of inheriting everything that my uncle left me is almost over, so I'll be pretty rich. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to imagine living a life like this, but right now I'm really happy about how things have turned out.